In this project, we're going to turn our microbits into a little multiplayer game. In this case, we're going to program our microbits to be fireflies. Now, as we saw on the page about fireflies, they have an internal clock that determines when they flash, and when they're around other fireflies, their internal clock changes until they sync up and flash in unison. And that's what we're going to teach our microbits to do today. We're going to need both on start and forever. We're not going to need on start yet. So I'm going to put that off to the side and start with my forever box. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to set up the clock for my firefly, and I'm going to have it flash. And then we're going to tell it how to change if it's near another microbit. So for this first part, I'm going to go to logic and get if then else and snap it in. I'm going to go to variables and I'm going to click make a variable, and I'm going to call this variable clock. I'm going to go back to logic again, and I want 0 less than 0. I'm going to put this instead of true. Back to variables and get my clock variable, and that goes in the first slot. Next, I'm going to change this symbol. I don't want less than. I want greater than or equal to the last one. And then I'm going to change my number to 8. Now I'm going to add a new piece of code for the score. At the bottom of your code menu is a section called Advanced. And if I scroll down in Advanced, I'm going to click on Game. On the Game menu, I'm going to get Change Score by 1. That's going to go in the Then box. I'm going to go back up to the top, back to Basic, put in a pause, and this pause is going to go underneath Change Score, still in the Then box, not in the Else box. I'm going to change it to 200 milliseconds, and then I'm going back to Variables, and I'm going to get Set Item to 0 and change Item to Clock. So all of this should be inside the Then box. On the Else box, I'm going to go to Basic, get my pause, and put that in. We're going to leave it at 100 milliseconds. I'm going to go back to Variables and get Change Item by 1. And I'm going to change that item to Clock. Now, this is the code that is going to set up the clock and tell it to change it. But we also need the microbit to be able to tell when it's near another firefly, and also to send messages to fireflies around it to let it know it's there. And for this, we're going to use the radio code. On our radio code, we want radio send number 0. And I'm going to put this at the top of my Then box. This will send out the radio signal to other microbits nearby. Now, when another microbit flashes, it's going to send out its signal. And as the microbits see each other's signals, they're going to start changing their clocks by 1. Now, we need to add a couple of things here. So I'm going to add on start, which I should have right over here. I'm going to go back to radio, and I'm going to go to more, and I'm going to get radio set transmit power. And we're going to change this to 1. This controls how strong that radio signal is. Then radio again. And I'm going to get radio set group. And we're going to make this 12. This puts all of our microbits in the same radio group so they can communicate to each other. The last thing we're going to do is click on radio. And we're going to get on radio received number. I'm going to drag that down here. I'm going to go to variables, and I'm going to get change item by 1. Pull this down and choose clock. So now when it receives the code from another microbit, it's going to change its clock. And now we'll get to test them out and see how it works. Before we do that, we're going to name it. So down here where it says untitled, we're going to call it Firefly. I'm going to click share, click publish project. Once you've published, click copy, go to the assignment in classroom, open the assignment, click add, choose link, paste the link in, and as always, don't forget to turn it in. Once you've done that, you're going to come back to the code page. You're going to download it onto your microbit. And for this one, we're going to attach our battery packs so we can roam around a little bit and test our Fireflies and see if they work. Good luck.